Hey everyone, it's Denise Braun from caringourway.com. Welcome to our podcast and show around beginning again after caregiving ends. And we're really focused on our upcoming virtual retreat, and that happens October 25th. It's a Saturday. Our retreat is 3 hours. It begins at 10 a.m. Eastern Time, and our goal is to support you in your life after caregiving ends. It's our sixth event. We archive all our past events, so you have got a library of resources available to support you, including what's going to happen at our next retreat on October 25th. And I'm so happy to have guests with me today who are going to be part of a panel discussion about life after caregiving ends. So I'd love for you guys to introduce yourself. Sandra, let's start with you. Quick introduction and then a one-word description of what life after caregiving ends is like for you.
I'm Sandra Pedicini, and I used to be a caregiver for my mom, who passed away a few years ago at the age of 93. And I am now a caregiver mentor with an organization called Duet. And my one word to describe life after caregiving would be transition.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Lots of transitions. Yes. Susan, thanks so much for being with us. Go ahead and give us an introduction and your one-word description of life after caregiving ends.
All right. Thank you, Denise. I'm Susan Stern. I was a caregiver to my dad who had cancer for over 13 years, and then a primary family caregiver to my mom who had Alzheimer's for 10 years. And she passed away last April. And I now work with other family caregivers as a life coach. And my word is fulfilling
Mm.
after caregiving.
Yeah. I love that, Sandra, you pulled together a panel. And Dennis, who is the third panelist, wasn't able to join us today. He's actually getting married in a couple weeks, so he will be a married man when he joins us for our virtual retreat. So we understand that he's got a few other things happening. Sandra, I'm curious, how did the three of you meet?
So Susan, Dennis, and I all met in a caregiving support group during COVID. Susan and I had a fantastic care manager, and she worked with another care manager to get a lot of us together online. Of course, caregiving during COVID was especially challenging. And so it was just a great opportunity for us to learn from each other and support each other. And so we all maintained connections even after the pandemic and even after our loved ones passed away. And Susan and I are really great friends. And in fact, we're going to dinner tonight. So um, we share a lot of ideas and thoughts about life after caregiving.
Oh my gosh, that is so wonderful. That is so wonderful. Susan, I'm curious, when you first started going to the support group, I wonder if you ever envisioned a 5-year relationship that now has spanned both caregiving and after caregiving.
I did not envision that at all. And I was very surprised and feel blessed by the depth of the friendship that Sandra and I have too. And also with Dennis, I'm going to his wedding at the end of the month. So it's really wonderful how caregiving can bring different parts of your life together into something different.
Yeah, I think that's amazing. I know his fiance because she has gone through several of my training programs, and I was hoping to go to the wedding. I just can't make it. I have another commitment that weekend, unfortunately, but I'm looking forward to the video and the photos. Okay, this is awesome. So I love that there's this friendship, but you guys are also pulling together you as resources to support former family caregivers. So Sandra, what was it about this virtual retreat that made you think we have got to submit a proposal and it's got to be a panel?
Well, I had so many great sources of support when I was a caregiver. There was the support group that we just talked about, and there were different organizations and online resources. And of course, all your programs, Denise, were a huge source of support and inspiration for me. So, and you had a book about after caregiving ends that I've read and reread, and it's a really emotional time. And I think sometimes people feel a little lost after their caregiving journey ends and are wondering what's next. And there's so many different facets to it. And, just knowing how Susan and Dennis have given back and really found meaning and continued to honor their loved ones' legacies. And through my experiences being a caregiver mentor and being a certified caregiving advocate through your organization, um, I I just thought this would be a great opportunity for us to share a different aspect of what comes next after caregiving.
Yeah, I think it's interesting because we do in our mind dream of what life could be like for us after caregiving ends, and then we tell ourselves how awful that we are having this thought. And it's really, I believe, a wish for the end to pain and suffering. A caregiving experience includes pain and suffering for our caree, for ourselves, for others and our family. And it's hard to think that it's going to be forever. We don't want that pain and suffering to be forever. And then we think, well, how am I going to adjust? And what's interesting for me, what was really challenging was my body. I had a lot of pain in my muscles because I was so tense from caregiving. And I'm still stretching out my muscles, to be honest with you, and it's 2 years after. But I'm getting better. That's what I tell myself every morning. I am getting better. Susan, I wonder from your perspective, what was something that surprised you about life after caregiving ends?
I think the grief afterwards, I think there was a lot of anticipatory grief, so I thought I would be doing better than I did. I think that caught me a little bit off guard. But also just the mindset shift. I felt like, I had 20 years of the caregiving. I felt like I put my life on hold. So I felt a new sense of freedom too, as far as I get to make choices now for me. And now I'm in my mid 50s too. I really want to make the most of my life. So I'm making different choices.
Yeah, I think the idea that you can choose how to spend your day is
Mhm.
really both awesome and also sometimes a little terrifying because you don't want to lose the opportunity to make a good choice about your day. And
Mhm.
Sandra, I know that one of the things that's really been important for you is to give back. And I wonder if you could share a little bit about how you give back to help current family caregivers.
Sure. So primarily, I work with Duet, and Susan introduced me to them. They're a fantastic Arizona-based nonprofit with just a slew of caregiver resources. And one thing they have is a caregiver mentoring program that is not just for people in Arizona, people throughout the country can take advantage of it. And so once a week, I get on a phone call with a woman who is about my age and is caring for her mom. And so she, like me, is a sandwich generation caregiver. So we have a lot of things in common. And so we don't just talk about caregiving, we talk about all kinds of things. And so that has just been a really great experience. And she told me once that this can be a really lonely path and that I make it feel a little less lonely. So that really meant a lot to me. So we'll be sharing some information about Duet and their programs. They also have a great program for people whose caregiving journey has ended called Next Chapter, and we can touch on that a little bit as well. I do some other things too. I write about aging and caregiving issues occasionally for Next Avenue, and do a little bit of volunteer work, help out with some communications here and there. But I would say the mentoring is the primary activity for me.
Okay, Susan, I'm going to throw you a bit of a curveball.
Go for it.
During our caregiving experience, I think we all wish that something were different for us that would make the experience easier. What would be one thing you would like to change that makes the experience easier for current family caregivers?
Hmm. I would say having a caregiver friend, someone else who's a caregiver earlier in the season. I found my caregiver friends in the middle towards the end. So having one in the beginning would have been life-changing, I feel like.
Wow. And this is for both of you. So, what does a friendship
Mm.
around that, I guess, a friendship inspired by a caregiving experience that is present for you during a caregiving experience change for you? And whoever'd like to go first can jump in.
Think it's just feeling understood. There can be a lot of ambivalent feelings during caregiving. It brings up a lot. And I think sometimes people who haven't been through it, just like so many intense experiences in our lives, if they haven't been through it, they can be supportive and they can be great friends, but there's not the same level of understanding.
Well said, yeah. And I think there's safety in sharing the emotions because you don't feel like you're going to be judged. You can even say, "Hey, I'm feeling guilty about this. Is there anything that you see that I could do?" And they can validate, no, there's nothing that you can do. Or they might even have a different perspective that they can bring in some light because they do understand the path better than someone else who's not a caregiver.
Yeah. And then how does a friendship help in our life after caregiving ends that
Mm.
understands that particular experience?
Well,
Yeah,
I would say
whoever,
that
yeah.
some of the same types of things. I mean, again, that feeling of you're grieving, but there's also a sense
mm,
of newfound freedom and a feeling of, well, what comes next for me? And you can talk things through and um, just to kind of lean on each other. And again, it's someone who just understands maybe the conflicting feelings in a way that someone else who hadn't been through the experience might not.
And I think it expedites the friendship too. So even though these are newer friendships, like 5 years or a little bit more, that you feel like you've known each other for such a long time because you went through such a difficult journey. So it really solidifies your friendship. And also, then our newer challenge could be aging, leaning in towards each other as far as how do we deal with aging?
How do we deal with aging? That is that is the question I ask myself regularly. How am I dealing with this? And I think that we all are more inspired to care for ourselves in a different way because we understand that not only is time not promised to us, but a good, healthy day is not promised for us going forward. And so we really want to take advantage of whatever we can do to give ourselves as many healthy days as possible because they matter so much.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Sandra, you pulled together the panel. At the end of the panel discussions at our virtual retreat, how would you like our attendees to feel?
Hopeful.
Hmm.
Yeah, I want them to see that there are many options for them out there to maintain that sense of meaning and connection. And you don't have to give back necessarily in a direct caregiving support role. Susan and I do that, and Dennis is very connected. He has a program called Dementia Friendly Dining, which teaches restaurants how to interact effectively with someone who has dementia. And then he's also got Nana's Books Foundation, which directly relates to his late wife Nancy's work as a librarian. And so, you might want to give back in a way that's similar to that, where you focus on something that was a passion for your loved one, or it could be something that is just deeply meaningful to you. There are all kinds of options out there.
And I think what part of what's hopeful is this idea that all the wisdom you've gained about life is not lost after caregiving ends. That you carry it into that next experience, adjusting to life after caregiving ends, so that it becomes meaningful. And truly, I think there's so much wisdom that we gain as we are with someone during their last years. We understand so much about life because we are there during a death. And it's not lost on us then after caregiving ends. It feels like sometimes, well, I just did all that during caregiving. That's all the wisdom. It's all contained there. And it's not. It actually moves with us. It keeps us company as we move into something else that's meaningful in whatever way we define.
Absolutely. And not only do we gain wisdom, but we gain a lot of skills too. Coping skills, practical skills, and now we can put those to work in different ways and give back to the world with them.
Susan, what else would you like to add, if anything?
I think you really develop a lot of inner strength that you don't recognize too, because you're doing a lot of hard things as a caregiver. You're seeing a lot of hard things, and there's an inner strength that other people around you might see, but you may not even realize yet. And I think that's one of the benefits that you walk away with.
One of my lessons learned was around drama. My family system is very dramatic and not in a theatrical, entertaining way, but in a draining, overwhelming way. And it really made me think, well, how are you creating drama? And it really positioned me to think, I don't think I want to add drama to my day, to my relationships, to my work. I think I'm going to look to maybe choose something else. And that has been really helpful in my life after caregiving.
Nice.
Yeah. Okay. Sandra and Susan, this was awesome. You guys gave a really nice teaser of what our viewers and listeners will experience when they join us October 25th. It's our 6th annual Beginning Again retreat, and it's for those who are adjusting to life after caregiving ends. And we start at 10 a.m. Eastern Time. You can join us by registering through caringourway.com. And I'd love to give one last shout out to you guys, Sandra and Susan. If our viewers and listeners are interested in learning a little bit more about your work, where would you send them? Website, LinkedIn profile? Where would you like people to learn more about your work?
I guess they can go to my LinkedIn profile. So it's Sandra Pedicini, and there's a link there to some of the writing that I've done about aging and caregiving issues.
Wonderful, wonderful. And Susan, how about for you?
I have a website, springtolifecoaching.com, and they can check me out there.
Wonderful. And I'll include the links in our show notes. Thank you both so much for being here today. Thank you for spending time with us on a Saturday morning in October. We appreciate that as well. It's another way that you are giving back, and we really appreciate it.
Thank
We're
you.
looking forward to it.
Okay, thanks everybody for watching and listening, and keep us posted. Join us on caringourway.com. We'd love to know how you're doing. Thanks, everyone. Bye-bye.